Hello students. So far we have discussed about various methods which were mathematical in nature to analyze the indeterminate beams, frames, and particularly to take care of the steel structures. We have discussed about the plastic analysis, that is the ultimate design method. So a civil engineer in his life many times come across so many buildings which are having stories more than 5, even up to 20, 21, 24, or more than that. So how to handle the all the structures which are having little higher stories more than 6. So normally we call them as tall buildings. When we talk about the tall buildings, all buildings, they come across the loading, which is not only the live load coming upon the coming upon the floors, the dead weight which is acting upon the structure for which it is to be designed. A high-rise building is also expected to take care of the wind loads which acts upon the building along horizontal direction, that is the transverse to its rise. Not only the wind loads, earthquake loads, they are also very much important for the analysis, and they are also uh, are to be given equal weightage and during the design. So say for example, if I take care of, if I take the example of a stone alone member M, and some earthquake takes place, due to the release of energy during the earthquake, the shaking of the foundation here as is shown in figure 2, this figure takes place, the structure is not able to hold its position. The mass of the structure try to remain as is its own original position, but the base moves in the lateral direction, and after a moment the tower moves to the catch up with the movement of the ground. The movement is actually an acceleration basically, and the column is not able to sustain when the shaking of the foundation takes place. So the Indian Standard Code of Practice, they have given the guideline while designing the high-rise buildings. So to design the structure with the help of these standards, IS 1893, IS 4326, IS 13827, IS 13828, IS 13920, and IS 13935. So all of you need to understand these IS code. You can take the copy from the Bureau of Indian Standard, and you should have all these codes along with you so that you are able to understand the proper procedure which is to be followed during the design of a high-rise building. Some of the important parameters while designing I have discussed here. The load combination, how one should take the load combination and increasing the permissible stress, how should be the partial safety factor for limit state design of reinforced concrete and pre-stressed concrete structures, that we have discussed, that I have mentioned here. Fundamental natural period of the oscillation or the vibration of a stone alone building has also been given in the IS code in the clause 7.6.1, which is being mentioned here. And the approximate fundamental natural period of vibration in seconds, that is also mentioned, that should not exceed these values. The distribution of design force for the shear is to be computed with the relation which is mentioned here as per the IS code of practice. And the distribution of horizontal design lateral forces to different lateral forces resisting elements is has been explained here, that how the vertical elements they behave for the lateral forces, how the lateral force resisting system is to be designed, how it is to be connected, and all to be done properly while during the design. So when you will be studying the course in design of structures, you will be taught properly all those parameters as I have discussed here. From your point of view, from the point of view of the examination of the industry, you need to understand these all provisions as mentioned in the IS code. Now, as we have discussed in the beginning of the structural analysis, that exact solution to the problem or exact analysis of the structure is not basically possible. We can reach to the 98 or 99.99% accuracy of the analysis, and we are able to find out the values of the unknown forces or unknown displacements during by using the different methods of analysis. However, in case of high-rise buildings, there are some methods. Primarily, the first method is the substitute frame method. We replace the original problem with some analogous substitute frame, and that is being analyzed by different methods. For horizontal and lateral loading to the wind loads, portal method is employed, or the cantilever method, and a mixed approximate method based on the existing exact and approximate method may be employed. So the approximate methods, they are important to learn, because based upon the approximate analysis and is strongly influenced by the past experience and judgment of an engineer. Basically, they have been evolved by the experience of an engineer, having determined the initial set of member size. More detailed analysis may be made to determine the forces and displacement and so on. So initially, we are able to understand that what is the near about moment or the shear force to be resisted by a member. So in case of portal method, we assume that the point of contact flexure is located at mid height of each column as well as at the midpoint of each beam. The horizontal shear taken up by the interior columns is double to the horizontal shear taken up by the exterior column, as has been mentioned here. The method is useful for low-rise building, not applied for the very much high building. It is also unsuitable for the building frames having the different members of base at different floors. So many steps I have mentioned here. One by one, we need to follow the steps so that we are able to finally reach to the check at the end, which I have mentioned. Summation of all forces along x, summation of all forces along y should be 0 at the support. Say you can notice sigma fx is missing here. When I was preparing the PPT, so unfortunately the sigma fx has missed here. Okay, let us discuss one example. So one frame which is having a load of 120 kilonewton at top level of the frame and 180 kilonewton at the middle level of the frame. As we have discussed that the point of contact flexure is at the midpoint of the column. So I have mentioned here everything as per the assumption. The interior columns will take care of the twice of the shear force. So you can notice here 2P is the shear taken by the interior column and P is the shear taken by the exterior column in the upper story. However, in the lower story, the notation is with the R. Okay. So if I talk about the top story, the total shear which is to be taken is P plus 2P plus 2P plus P. So this is P, 2P, 2P and P. And the total load which is to be resisted is 120 kilonewton. So we get the value of P is equal to 20 kilonewton. Similarly, for the bottom story, this R becomes equal to the 50 kilonewton. Okay. Now, moments at the end of the column. For top story, either I should say MEA or MAE, MHD or MDH should be equal to total load, that is P into height, half of the height of the column. So that is 20 into 3.5 by 2, that is the 35 kilonewton. In case of the middle column, MBF or MFB, MCG or MFGC, the same 2P into H by 2, that is the 70 kilonewton. For the bottom story, similarly we can compute the moment as 87.5 kilonewton and the moment as 175 kilonewton for the interior columns. Okay. Next, the shear force in the beams. If I take about want to know about the, sorry, not the shear force, it is a moment. Moment in the beam. So moment in the beam, moment in the beam EF is equal to MEA plus MEI. So we can compute like this. Similarly for other beams, it is going to remain same. For a particular beam, this moment in a beam should be equal to P plus R into H by 2. So that is 20 plus 50 into 3.5 by 2, that is 122.5. It is another expression which we can use. Okay. For the roof beam at the top story, we can find out the moment as P into H by 2, this much. Now to find the shear in the beam, so the beam is going to resist two different moments at the two ends. Maybe the moment may have the same value, or maybe it has a different value. So if it is the same value, then 2m upon L, or if it is going to resist different values of the moment, then m1 plus m2 upon L will be the shear resisted by the beam as explained here. So shear in the beam EF is equal to this much. Shear in the other beams can be computed like this, and so on. Okay, the same had been shared with you as notes. You can refer for the further understanding with the notes. So I have computed all the shear in all the beams like this. Now axial force in the column, that is, say, column axial force in the column AE should be equal to shear in the beam AB. So that is, say, 10 kilonewton. In the column EI, axial force in AE plus shear in the beam EF. So adding the 10 plus 35, that is 45 kilonewton, and so on. Finally, at the base, after computing all the values referring to the diagram which I have shared earlier, one can find out the total axial force at the base of the column. So you can notice the total load is equal to the 0. So thank you. Hope you have enjoyed listening.